Picture this: you're walking down the street, minding your own business, when you stumble across a piece of trash. But wait, this isn't just any trash. It's the life of a 5-year-old child left in a dumpster, beaten beyond recognition. This shocking discovery rocked the Panorama City community in July 2025, leaving people asking, how could something like this happen? The story of 5-year-old Elyjah Hearn is one that has left a gaping hole in the hearts of many, raising a number of questions about safety, love, and trust. When Elyjah's body was found in a dumpster on July 12, 2025, the world stopped. At least it did for those who were affected by his untimely death. It's one of those stories you just can't ignore, no matter how hard you try. Imagine you're walking down the street, half awake, just trying to get through another day. Maybe you're hoping for a little breakfast, a warm cup of coffee, or if you're lucky, a stray cat to pet for some fleeting comfort. But then, as you're casually strolling, you stumble upon something that completely changes your life. It's not a coffee cup. It's not even a lost wallet. It's the lifeless body of a 5-year-old child, discarded in a dumpster like some forgotten piece of garbage. That's exactly what happened on July 12, 2025, when a homeless man found the body of 5-year-old Elyjah Hearn, wrapped in a multicolored blanket. The sight was chilling. As he approached, the grim reality of what he found hit him like a punch to the gut. Authorities rushed to the scene, and it didn't take long for them to confirm that Elyjah had suffered extreme violence before his death. The young boy had sustained a broken jaw, fractured ribs, and a lacerated liver, all of which were signs of a brutal and senseless attack. These were not the injuries of an accidental death. They were the scars of a violent crime. And so the big question loomed over everyone's mind. Who could do such a thing to a child so innocent? Enter Brycson Malik Gaddis, the 20-year-old ex-boyfriend of Elyjah's mother, Elyjah Hearn. The plot thickens, right? You know the type, those exes who can't seem to move on. They still send, "Hey, you up?" Text at 2 a.m., but this time, things went from awkward to terribly wrong. Gaddis wasn't just another run-of-the-mill ex-boyfriend. He was now the prime suspect in the case. What makes this even more twisted is that Gaddis was the one who reportedly carried Elyjah's lifeless body to the dumpster. Surveillance footage captured the eerie image of a man, presumed to be Gaddis, walking with a woman near the crime scene, both carrying something wrapped in a blanket. Now, if you're a fan of crime thrillers, you know that when surveillance footage like this surfaces, it's usually game over for the suspect. And in this case, the chilling footage did its job. It led investigators directly to Gaddis. Was this just a typical breakup gone awry? Hardly. No, this was something far darker. A tragic tale where a child was caught in the middle of an increasingly violent and toxic relationship. Gaddis was arrested on July 16, 2025, and charged with murder and assault on a child, causing death. If there was any doubt left about his involvement, it was erased. Now, sitting in a jail cell, Gaddis pleaded not guilty to all charges. The courtroom drama promises to be just as tense as any good crime show. And trust me, his legal team has some serious explaining to do. For anyone who binge watches crime documentaries, this is the part of the story that makes you lean forward in your seat, popcorn halfway to your mouth. The smoking gun in this case? Surveillance footage. A simple but powerful tool that would ultimately tie Gaddis to the crime scene. The footage from a night before Elyjah's body was discovered shows a man, believed to be Gaddis, and a woman walking near the location where the child's body was found. And what were they carrying? Something wrapped in a blanket. It's a plot twist worthy of any detective series, right? As the footage spread like wildfire through the media, it became undeniable. This was no coincidence. The images were clear, and they pointed directly to Gaddis as the one responsible for the child's death. This is the moment when true crime fans everywhere do a slow clap. The video footage, the damning evidence, and the cold, hard truth came together like a perfectly executed plan in a police procedural. But here's the kicker: it's not just the footage that reveals the horror of this case. It's the idea that someone could do such a thing to an innocent child. A blanket, a child, and a heartless act. What a world we live in. And now we arrive at the court date. Brycson Malik Gaddis, the man whose name will forever be tied to this tragedy, is ready to face justice, or at least he thinks he is. On August 18, 2025, Gaddis stood in court, and in a dramatic, but not entirely surprising, turn of events, He pleaded not guilty to the charges. It's almost as if he thought he could convince the court of his innocence despite all the damning evidence against him. Let's take a moment here. A not guilty plea? After the video footage, the physical evidence, and everything that's happened, it's like watching a bad legal drama where the villain still thinks he can get away with it. Gaddis' bail was set at a whopping $2 million, and if he's convicted, he could be facing 25 years to life in prison. If you're keeping track, that's a pretty big price to pay for a crime that left an entire community heartbroken. And this, folks, is where the legal thriller becomes a real-life nightmare. Grab your popcorn because this court case is far from over. In the wake of this unimaginable tragedy, the community didn't just sit back and let the wheels of justice slowly turn. No, they jumped into action. What happens when an entire community is shaken to its core by a crime like this? They come together. A GoFundMe page was quickly created to help with Elyjah's funeral expenses. The donations poured in, and it became clear just how much Elyjah meant to those around him. Described as a joyful, fun-loving child, Elyjah's memory lived on in the generous donations and support that flooded in from the community. Even in the midst of their grief, the community rallied together to ensure that Elyjah's story would not be forgotten. But they didn't stop there. A vigil was organized near the very spot where Elyjah's body was found. People gathered to mourn, demand justice, and honor the young life lost too soon. It wasn't just grief, it was a call to action. People came together, united in a desire to make sure Elyjah's death wasn't in vain. This wasn't just about saying goodbye. This was about making sure the world took notice. What do we take away from a tragedy like this? First and foremost, trust your instincts and stay vigilant. Elyjah's death could have been prevented if there had been better safeguards in place. Child abuse is not always easy to spot, but when you do see the signs, don't hesitate. Act on them. Don't let a child like Elyjah fall through the cracks. This case highlights the importance of recognizing potential dangers early and taking steps to protect the most vulnerable among us. It's easy to turn a blind eye to something uncomfortable, especially when it involves people we know. But the sad reality is that Elyjah's death could have been avoided if someone had stepped up sooner. This is a wake-up call for everyone to stay vigilant. Speak out when something doesn't feel right, and always protect the children in our communities. As the legal proceedings continue, we can only hope for justice to prevail. In Elyjah's case, his death has sparked a conversation about child abuse, safety, and the importance of community vigilance. While it's too late to save Elyjah, his story is now a rallying cry for change. Let's ensure that no other child suffers the same fate as Elyjah. The tragedy of Elyjah Hearn is a reminder that, in this crazy world, it's not just about being aware of the threats we face, it's about being actively aware. So, let's stay alert, protect our children, and, when needed, stand together to demand justice. Because at the end of the day, it's all about making sure that the next child doesn't meet the same heartbreaking fate. And that's a wrap on today's heartbreaking story. While we can't undo the tragedy that befell Elyjah Hearn, we can make sure his story inspires us to be more vigilant, more compassionate, and more active in our communities. If you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to hit that like button. And for more real stories, shocking twists, and deep dives into the cases that make us think, hit subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss an update.